Kyle loaned me 1 million. Mazzotti, the same thing. In 2014, Mazzotti, we announced that he donated 200,000. When we were asked to pay 600,000, I was fired from work. I did not have money. Floyd didn't have money. We were forming a party. We called for everybody to come and contribute. Mazzotti came with 200,000. We put it on record in public.
Let's begin with the direct acknowledgements, straight from Julius Malema's own mouth. Malema, the commander-in-chief of the EFF, has publicly confirmed that he and his party received significant financial assistance from Adriano Mazzotti and his business partner, Kyle Phillips, especially during the EFF's formative years. This isn't rumor, it's part of the public record, particularly highlighted during Malema's past interactions concerning his tax affairs. Malema stated that Kyle Phillips provided him with a 1 million rand loan. He revealed this detail in court documents related to the South African Revenue Service, SARS, and its efforts to sequestrate him. More importantly, he confirmed that Adriano Mazzotti donated 200,000 rand to the EFF in 2014. This specific donation was crucial, as it went towards the party's registration with the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC. Think about the context. Malema and Floyd Shivambu had been expelled from the ANC. They were, in Malema's own words, politically unemployed and without substantial funds. The IEC required 650,000 rand just to file the necessary paperwork for the EFF to contest the elections. Malema recounts the moment of desperation. We looked at each other in the eyes and said, what is going to happen? And then, a pivotal phone call from Mazzotti, confirming that the money is paid. This is how, according to Malema, the EFF secured its ability to contest its very first election in 2014. Malema has gone as far as to state that without Mazzotti and other donors who contributed, the EFF might not exist in parliament today, and crucially, Jacob Zuma might still be president. This is a stark claim, linking the EFF's political success, and by extension, a significant shift in the country's political landscape, directly to the financial backing of these individuals. So, who are these individuals whose financial contributions Malema credits with helping to birth a major South African political party? First, Adriano Mazzotti. He is a co-founder of Kerry Links and Gold Leaf Tobacco Corporation, prominent entities in the South African tobacco industry. His name has frequently surfaced in connection with the illicit cigarette trade, an industry that costs the South African fiscus billions annually. Investigative journalists, such as Jack Upar, have published reports alleging Mazzotti's involvement in tax fraud, money laundering, and questionable financial dealings. It's important to reiterate, as Malema does, that Mazzotti has never been convicted of these alleged crimes. However, the consistent nature of these accusations has contributed to a public perception of him as a figure operating in the more opaque parts of the economy, possibly leveraging considerable influence. He is often portrayed as a powerful, behind-the-scenes operator. Next, Kyle Phillips. He is described by Malema as Mazzotti's business partner, specifically as a co-director of Mazzotti's Canneling cigarette company. Phillips is the individual Malema states loaned him the personal 1 million rand. Public reports also indicate that Phillips has been involved in other business dealings. Like Mazzotti, his name has been linked to controversies, though the specifics of his business dealings beyond the tobacco industry are less detailed in the provided context. His connection to Mazzotti and the cigarette industry places him within the same sphere of alleged illicit financial activity and influence that has drawn scrutiny from the media and law enforcement. The involvement of these individuals, particularly Mazzotti, in the founding of a party like the EFF, raises immediate questions about potential undue influence and the ethical considerations of political funding. Malema's defense of accepting these funds is robust and rooted in a specific interpretation of legal principles. He asserts that the EFF will not accept money that is knowingly derived from crime or corruption. However, his ultimate benchmark for determining the legitimacy of funds is whether a court has declared them proceeds of crime. Malema argues that since Mazzotti's money has never been legally deemed illicit by a court, it is considered legitimate. He has publicly stated that if such a declaration were ever made, the EFF would be willing to return the money. He challenges his critics, suggesting that mere gossip or journalistic allegations are insufficient to label money as dirty. He invites those with evidence of Mazzotti's wrongdoing to bring it forward to the police, and the EFF would act on it. A cornerstone of his defense is transparency. Malema insists that the donations were always on record in public and that they didn't hide it. His reasoning is that by disclosing the source of their funding, they empower the electorate. If people don't appreciate political parties that gets money from cigarette people, they can just not vote the EFF. This, he argues, is radical honesty, allowing voters to make an informed choice. Yet, this defense opens a wider ethical debate. In a country deeply scarred by corruption and financial malfeasance that has crippled state institutions, can we truly afford to wait for a definitive court conviction before questioning the ethical origins of political funding? While legally innocent until proven guilty is fundamental, in the realm of political integrity and public trust, the standards often extend beyond mere legal technicalities. The presence of alleged illicit activities surrounding a key donor can, for many, fundamentally compromise a party's perceived legitimacy, regardless of a court ruling. Here's where the political commentary takes a sharp turn into the territory of perceived hypocrisy. The EFF, under Julius Malema's leadership, has cultivated a fierce image as an anti-establishment, anti-corruption, and explicitly anti-white monopoly capital force. Their rhetoric consistently targets what they view as a corrupt, historically white-dominated economic system, advocating for radical transformation, including land expropriation and nationalization. Yet, the very foundation of this party, by Malema's own admission, was laid with funds from individuals whose wealth is generated within the capitalist structures the EFF seeks to transform and whose businesses have been linked to allegations of illicit dealings. This creates a striking contradiction, a party vehemently against white monopoly capital accepting funds from figures operating in that same capitalist sphere, albeit one facing significant scrutiny. Now, let's consider a hypothetical. Imagine if the ruling African National Congress, ANC, or the official opposition, the Democratic Alliance, DA, had found themselves in an identical situation. If President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC, or John Steenhuisen of the DA, were to admit that their party's initial existence or a major electoral hurdle was overcome thanks to a significant loan or donation from a businessman facing persistent allegations of tax fraud, money laundering, and illicit trade, what would Malema's response be? It's not difficult to envision. Malema would likely be at the forefront of a thunderous condemnation. He would accuse them of being beholden to dirty money, of compromising the revolution, of being fundamentally corrupt and captured by shadowy interests. He would rally supporters, protesting the alleged capture of these parties by illicit forces. The narrative would be one of betrayal, of a political party selling its soul for financial gain, enriching themselves at the expense of the people. His response would undoubtedly be one of righteous indignation, accusing them of undermining democracy and serving private agendas rather than the national interest. The very legalistic defense he employs for Mazotti, not proven in court, would likely be dismissed as a cynical evasion, a smokescreen to hide corruption. This stark difference in likely response highlights a powerful double standard, suggesting that the source of funds becomes problematic only when it benefits his political rivals, or when it doesn't align with his party's immediate strategic objectives. This narrative, concerning the EFF's funding and Malema's defense, extends beyond just specific individuals. It delves into the fundamental mechanisms of South African democracy. It compels us to ask difficult questions. How do we, the voters, reconcile a political party's radical rhetoric with the pragmatic, and potentially compromising, realities of its financial origins? What does it mean for a political revolution to be partly bankrolled by individuals who operate in legal, gray areas and are accused of activities that undermine the state's economic integrity? Are we demanding true transparency and ethical conduct consistently across the political spectrum, or do we apply different standards depending on who is involved? The Political Party Funding Act, enacted in 2021, aims to bring greater transparency to political funding by mandating the disclosure of significant donations. However, as Malema's acknowledgements show, the EFF's foundational funding occurred before this act was in place. This leaves a historical gap in the formal accountability of a major political player's origins. This is not about declaring Julius Malema corrupt or Adriano Mazzotti and Kyle Phillips guilty. It is about understanding the complex interplay of money, power, and political influence in our democracy. It is about recognizing that even self-proclaimed anti-establishment movements rely on capital, and that the sources of that capital can raise profound questions about the party's true allegiances and objectives. When political parties promise change, when they speak of revolution, we, the people, must follow the money. We must understand the networks. And we must always ask, who's paying for the bullets? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe this kind of funding taints the EFF's credibility, or is it simply a necessary part of the struggle for political survival? Your voice matters. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your networks, and subscribe to our channel for more critical insights into South African politics. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged.